Secretary Sta.çé, I miss this. I miss us. We need to bring back the maximum mayor. Models!
I can't. Since I've become Secretary of LumberJillville, I've taken things very seriously and needed to become more professional.
Yeah, I guess I can get that. But do you have any idea at all, how hard it is to carry all the weight of all of this sexiness on one pair of shoulders? Just these shoulders right here. That's too much sexy, too little shoulders. Ugh.
I guess I do not. But I needed to move on. I'm very sorry, Mayor Aaron. Or should I say Mayor Arun?
Yeah. At least you kept your name. Secretary Sta.çé.
I'm afraid that's all I'm keeping from that. We will always be a team. Just not the silly dressing model team.
Wait, are you saying I look silly?
A little bit.
You know what? I have an idea. I have an idea to get you to rejoin the Maximum Mayor models. A gift, if you will. I'll be right back.
Oh dear.
I got you a puppy. Is this enough to get you to join back?
No, it is not. Very cute puppy, though.
I got you a bigger puppy. Is this enough to get you to rejoin?
Nothing can get me back into the Maximum Mayor models. I'm very sorry, but I must maintain a professional demeanor. I mean, someone has to in LJV.
I see you're playing hard to get, and that's okay. But here's the deal, if we break up, I'm keeping the dogs.
We aren't together.
You know what? That is exactly something someone would say who is, in fact, together with me. Right? Well, gotta review this figure. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now before we get started, I just want to remind you to please hit subscribe to become an official resident of LJV and get a first look at all future women's wrestling figures. Like today's, a very exciting review of Main Event Series 149, Maxxine Dupri and her debut figure. Now Maxxine is someone that I've wanted to see released in figure form for quite some time, and honestly, this figure, when it was shown off, it was kind of a surprise to everybody. I don't think anyone really knew it was coming. So I'm just super stoked to have it in my possession, and I cannot wait to review this figure. It looks awesome. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at this figure, starting off with the packaging. So starting off with the packaging here, I did just cover this packaging recently in my last review with Main Event Series 148 Caden Carter, but I'll briefly cover it here because I really do like not only the rebranding of the basic series to the Main Event Series, but I like this new packaging. I really do. I think it looks really sharp. I love the different designs and angles that this package has. And I like the color scheme of mostly white with red accents, and I really like that first time the line strip in yellow really stands out. And about 33% of the package is an image of the superstar. And here we have the stunning and gorgeous Maxxine Dupri. And yeah, this figure looks really, really cool MOC, but I'm obviously going to open it. So this is something that would be cool to get signed by her, at least until she has an Elite come out. Now, moving it around here, we have her classification as a grappler, which is something she's definitely working on, being in the Alpha Academy. And yeah, we have her signature move being the Caterpillar. That is awesome. I'm really glad that they put that there. That is super cool. And we have the rest of the line. So I am going to open this up because I made some observations here. And I'd say be cautious when you're ordering this figure because the way that she's packaged, her fingers are kind of crammed through a little opening in the plastic. And that could be bad because the fingers can get all bent up and curved if they're not put in there nicely. Now this one is packaged great, but just be aware of that if you're getting this figure, especially if you're getting it off the pegs. You really want to look closely at the hands and make sure the fingers aren't jammed in there. They're not curved, they're not stuck together or anything like that. But this one looks great, so I'm going to carefully take her out. Let's take a closer look. WWE Main Event Series 149 Maxxine Dupri. This attire is from the July 3rd, 2023 edition of Raw. On this night, the Alpha Academy with Maxxine in her in-ring debut would defeat the Viking Raiders and Valhalla. Alright, so my first impressions of this figure, I am overjoyed. This figure turned out awesome, especially considering it's a main event or a basic style figure. This is a prime example of when Mattel puts the extra effort into the main event or the basic line, they can make some amazing women's figures, and this one looks spectacular. Now, I will say the first thing I did notice is that the hair is very, very different than what we saw online with the MOC images and what we thought the figure was going to be when it releases. Now, obviously, we'll take a closer look at that head and the hair, and you'll see what I'm talking about up close. But yeah, the hair is a lot different than what we saw, but I actually like it. But yeah, I'm really impressed. My first impressions here are great. I love the body part choices. I think this is the one time that they use the long, skinny leg sculpts that it actually works well. They've tried using those on Bianca, on Rhea, Charlotte, and it never works. But here, I think it looks great. I think it works. I love this figure. Now let's take a closer look at that face sculpt, face scan, hair sculpt, and hair color. Alright, so let's start off talking about this hair color here. And the reason being, when we saw MOC images of this figure, actually all images of this figure on ringsidecollectibles.com, it was a very different coloration. It basically had a real dark color simulating the roots, and it kind of faded into blonde. And here we don't have that. We just have one color, one blonde color, I should say. And I have to say, I actually think I like this more. Now, the night that this depicts, she might have had a little darker roots and whatnot, but it wasn't real noticeable. And the figure images that they were showing was very drastic. Kind of like that Trish Stratus Elite that I just reviewed, the Elite 111. They kind of went overboard with the dark roots fading into the blonde, and I'm kind of glad they went this direction. Usually I'm not a fan of just using one simple color on the women's figures as far as the hair goes, but here I think it works good. It's almost got like a goldish shine to it. It's like a goldish yellow. Remember, I'm colorblind, but I do really, really like it. I think it looks excellent, and I think it works really well. I actually think I prefer it over the hair coloration that we saw on those images, so I think it's really, really cool. And the way I look at it is this was her debut match, right? So it kind of has a shine to it, almost like she was sweating, right? So that's maybe me being imaginative, but I think it looks really cool. I like the hair color that they went with. I do wish that the ponytail holder was painted black or something, but it is just the hair color. But boy, that ponytail is loose. We'll cover that in a second. But let's take a look at this face scan and face sculpt because this is spectacular. This is amazing. Now, Mattel sometimes has trouble really capturing the likeness of a lot of the women they release in figure form. But this one, in my opinion, is an absolute home run. It looks like Maxxine from all different angles. It looks amazing, looks just like her. They did an excellent job here, even with the sculpt, even with the lips, the eyes, the eyebrows. Amazing. Yeah, 10 out of 10 with the face scan and face sculpt. Super great. I mean, this is cool because hopefully they can stick with this one and we can get an Elite Maxxine soon. Now, the hair itself, I talked about the color, but the sculpt is really cool. We have some bangs that are sculpted over the side. We have this ponytail here, and if you look closely, she actually has a tattoo behind her ear. That is easy to miss, but that is such a cool detail here. Now, the ponytail, I will say, it is super loose in there. Let me zoom out a little bit. It is very loose. I don't know if that's by design. I'm not going to tug on it. Yeah, I'm not going to tug on it very much. I don't want it to come out. I'm not sure how it sits in there, but it feels secure. It's just very wobbly and loose. Maybe that's to give it some design, some realism. I don't know. I have a feeling that was done on purpose, and it's fine, honestly. Now, that being said, let's move on to the body sculpt and the attire. So I think they did an excellent job with part choices here. I think it really does simulate Maxxine's physique really well. I think it works. And I really like the execution of the attire. Now, sometimes when the female superstar has a very intricate attire and they try to translate that into the main event or the basic form, it's a big swing and a miss. But I think they honestly knocked it out of the park here. Even the red, it's kind of hard to see, but the red does have a metallic type finish to it, which makes it accurate. I wish the white was kind of a pearlescent white, but it looks good. And like I said, they did an excellent job here just painting on her attire, and because she wears tight attire, it works out just painting it on. There's no need for extra sculpting, especially considering it's a main event figure. But yeah, so the part choices are great. As I mentioned, she has the long, thin legs, and I believe it's a sculpt that they've tried using on the Rhea, the Charlotte, the Bianca, and every time they use it on them, it's a horrible fit. It doesn't work, but it works here, and it looks really, really good. So I love the part choices. And taking a closer look at the attire, I already covered the tattoo behind her left ear, which is really, really cool. Now, looking at her upper body here, you know, she is wearing this singlet type design on top of this bra that has "shush" written across it. Shush, I should say. It's white letters with a black outline. We have that metallic red simulating that bra underneath. And that singlet is painted on very intricately, very, very cool. It definitely gives the appearance of the design of the attire she wore that night, so it looks really, really cool. We have red going down each side. Turning it around, we even have the straps going across in that metallic red, simulating that bra underneath, and that's really cool. She has red metallic armbands going on. Now, what's really cool is she has these hands, these Alpha Academy hands, right? So you can put her in her signature pose, but as I mentioned, be careful when you get this figure because I have a feeling the way that it's packaged, these fingers could get bent and kind of pushed off to the side and stuck in that position. So just keep an eye on that, especially if you're trying to find this figure in stores. Take a closer look at that. But yeah, I really like that we do have those removable hands. You can swap them out if you want, but I think these are perfect for posing. Moving on down to her lower body, this is that singlet continuation, and it does look really good. It matches up good with that top. Her knee pads are that metallic red color, and her left one is accurate, saying "shoosh" on it with a black triangle and a white outline. And then she has high white boots. So I'm going to zoom her out here. And what's really cool is you can put her in the Alpha Academy position. This is so freaking cool. This is perfect. I love this figure. Now, let's do a little comparison here. All right, now both these figures don't stand too well, so I'm going to hold them here. So I wanted to bring Kayden out here because, as I mentioned, my biggest complaint with that figure is Mattel made her way too tall. She looks silly next to Katana. You know, Kayden is billed at 5'2", and Maxxine is billed at 5'8". So I feel like Maxxine is in the realm of being more accurate. Now, she does have those really long, thin legs. I think it works with her sculpt. It might make her a little bit too tall when you put her on display with the other figures, but I really don't think it's going to stand out, not nearly as much as Kayden being this tall, honestly. So I wanted to show you what these two look like side by side. But yeah, this Maxxine is pretty tall, but for a female competitor being 5'8", that's pretty tall, so I think it works really well. And this is a figure that I really want to see how she looks with the Alpha Academy. I really want to get that Chad Gable and the Otis. I really want to get those two Alpha Academy figures. I'm going to hunt for those this week, and I'll regroup with y'all and show y'all how this figure looks with those two. I haven't came across them in stores, but I wish I had because I really want to see how Maxxine looks with those two. That's going to be real important, but I just wanted to show you scale how bad and how dirty they did Kayden here. Like, she's way too tall. Figure's beautiful, but way too tall. So, yeah. My final verdict on Maxxine, as far as scaling goes, which, like I said, I usually don't cover it. I think it's more important to see how this figure compares and scales with Otis and Chad. I think that's just as important as Kayden next to Katana, so I'll hold off on taking any points off because she's too tall or whatever until I have those two elites next to her and we can compare. But as a standalone figure, I think it looks really, really great, and I don't think the scale really stands out too much. All right, articulation time, y'all. So the most articulated feature of this figure is the ponytail. It really goes all over the place. I just had to cover that. I know I already did, but yeah, it's crazy how much it moves. I kind of like that. As long long as it stays stable. I really hope it doesn't fall out while I'm doing that, but I like how it does have movement to it. Anyway, so the head can move in all different directions. We have really good movement here. Shoulder can move in all different directions here. We have a single jointed elbow. So when you line it up, I'm not going to force anything on this figure, by the way. It can flex about 90 degrees. The hands can swivel, they can flex, and they can extend. We have that upper or that mid-waist swivel there. Thigh is on a ball joint, can move in all different directions. And the knees can bend about 90 degrees, and then we have an upper boot swivel. Now, the reason I'm not forcing the bend on the elbows or the knees, I have a bad experience with my Katana main event series figure where the leg just snapped off. I don't want that to happen to this figure with how hard it was to obtain, so take my word for it, not very articulated, but great for posing. Now keep in mind that my basic scoring scale is a scale of its own separate than the elite scoring scale. Now with that being said, I give WWE a main event series 149 Maxxine Dupri and her debut figure an overall score of a 10 out of 10. I freaking love this figure. This is a prime example that shows even with cost-cutting measures, even with minimal tooling, Mattel can make some amazing women's wrestling figures in that basic style or that main event style. I honestly think this is right up there with Basic Series 110 Liv Morgan as my favorite basic style women's figures. I think it's an excellent figure. I love the detail that went into it. And as far as the likeness goes, it is flawless. The likeness, the sculpt, the scan, absolutely perfect. And even though the hair color did come out different than those images we saw online, I actually think it looks maybe a little bit better than those images, so it looks even better in person. And the body sculpt is great, the attire is great. I think the one little thing that some people might not like is they might have made her a little too tall, but in my opinion, you're only going to display this figure either by itself or with Chad and Otis. So I am going to try to pick up those Alpha Academy Otis and Chad Gable Elites and take a picture sometime this week if I can find them. And yeah, I'm super happy with the final result of this figure. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. To get a first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use coupon code LJV at checkout to save 10% on your next order of women's wrestling figures. Now stay tuned, I'm real curious to see who Queen Diva Marie wants to review right here in LJV. She'll be putting a poll up this week sometime, so stay tuned for that. And there should be more, yes, even more women's wrestling figures coming to LJV to review very soon. So I really appreciate y'all watching and have a great night, y'all.